Namaste and welcome to VD Decode YouTube channel.
Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are absolutely demystifying the residential solar blueprint in India for 2026. We're taking that whole confusing world of panels, inverters, and government schemes and breaking it down into a super clear, actionable roadmap for you. So let's just dive right in. We all know that universal pain point of climbing power tariffs, right? Every single summer, those electricity bills seem to take a bigger and bigger chunk out of our wallets. But the landscape has completely shifted recently, all thanks to the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. It's totally transformed rooftop solar from, just a niche eco project into an absolutely urgent financial opportunity. I mean, just look at this number, 78,000 rupees. That's the absolute maximum central government subsidy that is currently available to homeowners. And this is a direct reduction in your upfront cost paid straight into your bank account after the installation is done. It literally changes the entire math of going solar today. So here is our game plan for today. We're going to cover the solar financial opportunity, choosing your system type, decoding the subsidy, net metering explained, the payback math, and finally, some smart installation steps. All right, starting with part one, the solar financial opportunity. We really need to start treating solar panels as a true investment. Because to really get the math here, we need a bit of a mindset shift. We have to stop thinking of a solar panel as just another home appliance that only eats up money, like a fridge or a TV. It is actually a high-yield financial investment. The data shows that over a standard 25-year lifespan, the total savings of a typical home system can easily blow past 8 to 10 lakh rupees. So your initial upfront cost is completely dwarfed by those long-term compounding returns. You're basically prepaying for decades of electricity, but at a massive, massive discount. For most Indian households in 2026, a 3-kilowatt system is absolutely the sweet spot. Why? Because it perfectly balances the cost, the government support you get, and your average daily consumption. It generates roughly 360 to 450 units every single month. So if your household consumes around 300 units, say you're running 2 or 3 ACs and your standard appliances, this system effectively wipes out your bill entirely. And crucially, 3 kilowatts is the exact size that secures that maximum central subsidy we just talked about. Moving on to part two, choosing your system type. This is all about picking the right hardware architecture for your specific needs. Getting this architecture right today is going to save you massive headaches and unexpected bills down the road. You basically have two main paths, on-grid and off-grid. Now, on-grid is definitely the most popular choice for urban homes. It ties directly into your city's utility grid, meaning there are no expensive batteries to buy. It's got the lowest upfront cost, and best of all, it is fully eligible for that central subsidy. The only catch? For safety reasons, it does have to shut down during a grid power cut. Now, off-grid systems, on the other hand, use expensive battery storage to give you total independence. They keep working during outages, sure, but they have a much higher cost, and here's the kicker, you get absolutely zero PM Surya Ghar subsidy for them. But what if you live in a Tier 2 city where you're facing, say, 3 to 6 hours of power cuts every single day? Well, then you might want to look at a hybrid solar system. This setup connects to the grid to give you those billing benefits, but it also maintains a battery bank just to keep your lights and fans running during a blackout. It really is the ultimate best of both worlds solution, though you should know it will cost you a bit more upfront than a standard on-grid setup. Now, when you're actually selecting the panels for a subsidized on-grid system, you're going to hear this acronym a lot, DCR. That stands for Domestic Content Requirement. Basically, DCR panels are manufactured locally, right here in India. They do have a higher base price, roughly 30 rupees per watt, compared to maybe 17 to 20 rupees for non-DCR imported panels. But you absolutely have to use DCR panels if you want to unlock that government subsidy. So yeah, your base price is a little higher, but that government rebate more than makes up for the difference. All right, part three, decoding the subsidy. Let's break down the actual PM Surya Ghar Yojana math. What's super interesting about this scheme is exactly how the government calculates what they owe you. The central subsidy scales up, but it has a very strict hard ceiling. So for a 1 kilowatt system, you get 30,000 rupees. For 2 kilowatts, it doubles to 60,000. But then for 3 kilowatts, it bumps up to 78,000, and then it just completely flatlines. Whether you install 3 kilowatts, 5, or even 10, the central subsidy is maxed out at 78,000 rupees. This makes the government's intent crystal clear, right? They want to subsidize wiping out your residential power bill, but they aren't trying to fund a mini commercial power plant on your roof. But wait, it actually gets better. A bunch of states offer their own top-up subsidies, and these stack directly on top of that central 78 grand. For example, Delhi adds up to 30,000 rupees extra. Uttar Pradesh gives you a flat 30,000. Rajasthan adds 17,000 for specific beneficiaries. So when you stack the central and state money together, residents in these areas can slash the net cost of a 3-kilowatt system to comfortably under 1 lakh rupees. That is a total game changer. Next up, Part 4, Net Metering Explained. This is all about how your system interacts with the grid. So how does this actually work with your utility company? It all revolves around something called net metering. And honestly, it's a brilliant mechanism. During the day, when the sun is blasting, your panels are probably generating way more electricity than your house is actually using. That excess power is pushed out into the city grid, and your utility meter basically spins backward, earning you credits. Then at night, when your panels are sleeping, you draw power back from the grid, using up those credits. At the end of the month, you literally only pay for the net difference. It is really important, though, to distinguish net metering from gross metering. With net metering, that exported power offsets the expensive retail rate you'd normally pay for your electricity. It's incredibly beneficial for homeowners. Gross metering, however, means you're selling all your solar power to the grid at a much lower wholesale rate, but you still have to buy back your power at the high retail rate. Gross metering is really built for massive industrial producers, definitely not for everyday homeowners. Okay, Part 5, the payback math. Let's crunch the numbers and see the real-world returns. Let's look at the hard data to see exactly how this blueprint plays out. Across India, right now in 2026, the average payback period for a subsidized residential system is just 3 to 5 years. Think about that. In just 3 to 5 years, the total savings on your electricity bill will completely cover your net installation cost. And once that short window closes, the electricity your roof generates is virtually free for the next 2 decades. To figure out your exact payback timeline, you basically plug 4 variables into the calculator. First, your net system cost after all the subsidies. Second, how much power your panels will generate annually. Third, your average avoided tariff, so whatever your utility normally charges you per unit. And finally, the annual tariff escalation. Remember, grid electricity gets roughly 8 to 10% more expensive every single year. Because grid power keeps getting costlier, your solar returns actually compound faster and faster over time. And local conditions can drastically alter this math. Take a look at places like Gujarat and Mumbai. Because they have high local tariffs, fantastic sunlight, and great state top-ups, a 3-kilowatt system there pays for itself in a hyper-fast 1.5 to 2 years. That's incredible. But even in a place like Delhi, where grid power is slightly cheaper to begin with, you are still completely paid off in just 3 to 4 years. Finally, Part 6, Smart Installation Steps. Here's your execution blueprint to avoid any missteps. Honestly, navigating the bureaucracy is where a lot of people tend to get tripped up. So here is your chronological execution blueprint. Step 1, register on the national portal. Step 2, wait for your local DISCOM to give you feasibility approval. Step 3, pick an impaneled vendor and actually install the system. And Step 4, wait for the utility to install the net meter and commission the plant. And listen, here is a massive warning we found buried in the guidelines. Never, ever let an installer start physical work on your roof before your portal application is officially sanctioned. If you install first and apply later, your subsidy application will absolutely be rejected. You also really need to protect yourself from cheap installers who try to cut dangerous corners just to offer you a lower quote. Watch out for red flags, like skipping the DC and AC protection boxes or ignoring proper grounding and earthing protocols. Also watch out if they exclude a lightning arrestor or if they refuse to offer an annual maintenance contract. A system that's supposed to last 25 years needs Tier 1 components and the right safety gear. Please, do not risk a multi-lakh asset just to save a few thousand rupees upfront. So, we've seen the massive subsidies, we've crunched the payback math, and we've laid out the step-by-step blueprint. The logic here is pretty undeniable. Your roof is just sitting empty right now, but it could literally be generating serious compounding financial returns starting tomorrow. So the real question is, are you ready to plug it in? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next one.